What's a niche? Unassuming hobby that has a surprising dark side to it. Beekeeping. There are keepers who weaponize severe illnesses against others' hives and many cases of hive theft every year. What the duck? We need bees. Disney pin collectors. I like pins and will buy them when I'm traveling as souvenirs. Apparently at Disney properties pin trading is a big thing. I had stopped by one of the kiosks at Disneyland because I wanted a few Star Wars pins and saw people trading pins with the employees. I was curious about it, so I googled it a bit and was amazed by the black gray market of pin trading. People would buy knockoffs and then go to the parks and trade them to staff or other patrons, even kids, for legit pins. Or they would find someone with a rare valuable pin that didn't know its worth and try to rip them off. I guess with obsession comes darkness. I'm not sure if it's still a thing, but when I played Magic the Gathering a number of years ago, I heard some real horror stories about how competitive Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh players were. One story involved a guy at a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament holding a gun under the table to scare the opponent into losing. Stamp collecting. Some places won't mint stamps of a living person, so major collectors are waiting for certain people to finally die so they could complete certain sets or have special commemorative sets made. Macro photography has a whole ethical debate about euthanizing insects to be photographed. Wine collecting. There's rampant forgery. Egg collecting. Some people go nuts, end up stealing eggs from nests of endangered birds. Some go to jail. I suspect people with no experience assume that hobby store style group activities, like tabletop miniatures games, Pokemon etc., is just silly fun for nerds and kids. But the amount of drama, anger and bullshit going on in those places as personalities clashes off the charts. I've heard stories ranging from stalking to assault to death threats, and that's just the normal side of how crazy it gets. Genealogy. You can uncover some family secrets that you might never really want to know. Some cousin marriages, some affairs. Once I found a birth certificate for a doorstep baby. I hope the baby and the mother found their peace in life. My paternal grandparents were first cousins. Grandparents was a letter carrier who got caught stealing mail. This was in the 1910s. So mail-in cash was common and did federal time. His father, my great-grandfather, couldn't find work after his Civil War service and became a boarding house thief who was caught stealing clothing and stuff from other people's rooms. He was apprehended with a list of over 50 boarding houses in Philadelphia among his possessions. His wife, my great-grandmother, ran off with his brother's son. My father and his 5 siblings were all honorable. There is nothing like tracing the crimes of your ancestors to make you feel like an upstanding citizen in comparison. I'm descended from 5 convicts transported to the Australian colonies in one branch of my family tree. 6 if you include the son of a convict who was convicted of cattle theft and sent to the penal colony within the penal colony. The most shocking criminal discovery I made was discovering a newspaper article about my grandfather going to court for the crime of obscenity. I could never find anything more about it and don't know exactly what it involved, but it was the last thing anyone expected of him. It still disturbs me to think of it. Ornithology aka bird watching. I've been harassed by other ornithologists over territory and high frequency spots. They will also use fake bird calls to scare birds away. One fellow left a bloody feather for me in a spot that I frequent. I have prepared a sharpened quill for the next encounter. Wild ginseng hunting in rural Appalachia. The mountain gold roots are highly valuable, and illegal harvesting is big business. Lots of shady and armed characters traipsing through the woods to find the stuff. Drum corps. Some corps will literally push you past your breaking point. Some people end up getting stress fractures or worse and are told to push through them. My favorite is with knit and crocheting. Do you make a baby blanket out of wool and risk the child having an allergic reaction? Or do you make it out of synthetic fibers and have the blanket melt onto the child should a fire happen? Either choice means you're a demon and want all babies to die. Plant collecting. People poach them from nature, steal them from nurseries, conservatories and homes, file fake claims against the sellers to get their money back, paint plants to look like a different species, flip plants without proper quarantine and acclimation, and also sell infected plants, beard bugs, rot, mosaic virus, etc. Honestly, it's shocking how many awful things can go wrong with collecting plants. Computer security. You start out with some naive idea about maybe fixing a bug you found in some software, and slowly become aware of an aggressively boring world consisting of multi-million-dollar lawsuits, secretive organizations, politics, and international crime. It's good fun when you can ignore all that and fix some bugs. Alright, a neat program though. Astronomy stargazing. People will drive for hours just to get to a dark sky with minimal or no light pollution. And light pollution is getting worse and more widespread every year. I don't know about a dark side to it as a hobby, but music. Great hobby, awesome creative outlet. But professional music and music academia is toxic. Expecting students to work for 12+ hours every day, constantly being compared to others in negative ways. The massive drug culture that surrounds music students. I don't know any music student that wasn't at least taking Adderall to study, if not coke and other drugs at times too. And professional music, at least professional orchestras and big bands, require such talent that you basically just have to practice non-stop for decades to get into them, which you learned how to do in music school. Just pop some pills, do nothing but play your instrument, and have no life. It's getting better in a lot of schools, and for a lot of people, thankfully. Classical music. I worked in a store that sold mostly classical records, and a lot of the hardcore fans were incredibly pushy and nasty, especially opera fans. And the whole world of classical performance is chock full of abusive behavior, obsession, and general craziness. Lego. It's a kid's toy. Right, wrong. We have a chronic problem where new releases sell out almost immediately, going for vastly marked up prices while being unavailable to the public for months on end. Also, the Lego group treats product leaks like murder cases, surgically ferreting out the responsible party. It's like the Marvel's Hidman joke. And don't even get me started on the figure market. This is a relatively new creation, since COVID got a lot of adult fans into the hobby and searching for era nostalgic figures. Cue a bunch of absolute jackasses going on eBay and buying specific figures in bulk because they think they're the new Wall Street bets. They will coordinate their attacks, going after somewhat rare, but not impossible to find figures like Bail Organa or Captain Rex. This problem is uniquely pernicious in the LSW community, which has several very cunty influences in it and sending them to the moon. Captain Rex is not a genuinely rare figure. He was in one set, yes, but it was a cheap, mass-produced set. A lot of people have his price should be somewhere around $35–40. Like Grand Admiral Thrawn was before a certain room, plus our character bought a bajillion. Instead, both Rex and Thrawn can go for upwards of $100. It's ducking mental. They've totally ducked the third-party market, treating it like a damned stocks game when all the general public wants is some cool toys. The Lego Insta and it communities are absolutely terrible. Surprisingly our edits aren't though, with the exception of the sales ones predictably, which have very strict guidelines, but still fall prey to drama around counterfeiters and catfish. Pokemon Go. Fights over gyms and PvP battles. Mainly gyms. I think a couple have actually died over it. Remember those giant pads from the late 90s? Well, there's been an entire reservoir market for them for years, chock full of dedicated collectors and enthusiasts, mostly ravers, because LOL. The market used to be completely fair, and you could usually snag yourself a couple of rare designs off eBay for a reasonable double-digit price. All until one ducking guy emerged over the past couple of years that has completely destroyed that market fairness. It's not even conjecture that it's just one person. It's the legitimate source of the demise of our little corner of the world. Essentially, an influencer started flooding eBay with insanely priced pants. Like we are talking almost 1K on common items. and tied it all to his ig. So people who had zero clue about our market figured that that's just what shit was worth. Couple that with skirting platform 2s to buy low sell high in this case. Straight up scamming, and his penchant for flat out stalking and threatening people who come after him, and you have what we have now, zero ability to continue our hobby with new rare items, because now anyone who finds something at a thrift store thinks it's suddenly a gold mine. The stupid thing is, the guy claims to be an authority on this kind of fashion, but genuinely has never been a part of any related community, especially since he's known and shunned LOL. It's gotten so bad that there's even a recent article out about how the dude unknowingly sold something to Drake, and it was claimed as a bootleg by another big celeb who made said clothing line. So now the guy's getting national attention for selling to a celeb, despite cleanly ripping him off. Too long didn't read that 90s pants collecting. Fun time. A scalper made it suck big time. Hands down, everyone who collects salt and pepper shakers has a body buried somewhere. I collect a few different kinds of toys for the nostalgia, and let me tell you, adult toy collectors can be terrible, entitled brats. Contrary to what they believe, adults are not the target demographic. The companies are catering to children. Stop harassing them on social media. Stop bullying literal children over it. Scalping can be a huge issue as well. People would buy whole shelves of things just to sell at a markup. Adults who aren't into it sometimes assume the worst of you, and the worst varies. I'm just an adult who spends some of their fun money on cute colorful things. Sometimes you're just trying to make friends and you stumble into a kink community. People can do what they'd like, as long as it's safe, sane and consensual. But you can get surprised by it, or have it pushed on you. The most frequent kink grosses me out actually, and I really have to watch who I interact with. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of Reddit Universe,